All right, y'all, we are back with episode 7 breakdown for Queen Sugar season 5. Last week was a heavy one, but this week is a little bit lighter. We get a little bit more of our fuller story, and we get to see how they start to pick up the pieces and move forward. Let's talk about it. Every episode this season has started off with Ralph Angel, and it's either been Ralph Angel solo or Ralph Angel with Blue, Ralph Angel with Darla, and today's episode is no different. We start off seeing Ralph Angel and Darla outside in her garden, and they are discussing Blue's amazing IQ test results. And come to find out, little boy Blue is a genius. Tested, proven, and solidified. Go Blue. After the credit sequence, or the main titles, we get to see where everyone else is currently. Charley is struggling with sleep, kind of seeming like she's having nightmares or panic attack, anxiety attacks, dreams in her sleep. She wakes up and she's struggling with some neck pain, and she feels very much so disoriented. And I think that this is the cost of all of the things that she has been taking on, all of the things that she's had to deal with, starting to catch up with her and manifest physically in her body. So I'm hoping that sis is going to be able to push through and recover. But we spend a lot of this episode seeing her struggle, even towards the middle, where it seems as though she might be having a heart attack. But then once we get to see it actually start to play out, I think she's actually having a panic attack and struggling to breathe. So I think that in the next few episodes, we're really going to have to see what Charlie's going to do to address her health concerns and address what is happening that is kind of putting her out of commission for a bit. Hollywood is not being Hollywood, and that's to be expected. He just buried his mom, watched a black man be killed on camera, came back from burying his mom to support one of his best friends and family members get married. He has a lot going on in his head. We do not see the optimistic, positive, and forward thinking Hollywood in this episode. We really see a guy who looks like he's taking life's beatings, and he's here, but he's barely here. And that starts to show a little bit of tension between Hollywood and Vi. This is really the first time that we've seen them like this. See them, even when they disagree in the past, they still seem to be on one accord. They still seem to have a very, very tight connection. But in this episode, the connection is gone. Vi is struggling to figure out where her place is and what she should say, what she shouldn't say. How can she address it? How can she support him, but also hold him accountable? And I feel like this is so many other black women, especially now. A lot of the black men, black people, right? We're struggling. We've been struggling for a while with just the systematic oppression and the things that are set up in this country for us not to succeed. But I think it's really great to key in on Vi and Hollywood's relationship in this episode, because it mirrors the majority of black women and black men relationships, and not just romantic ones, but even familial or friendships, in reference to black women not knowing that black men need support, they need love, they need someone to care, but they also need someone to be able to hold them accountable. And we're walking this, black women are walking this really fine line of what we need to do in reference to supporting you versus what we need to do in calling you on your BS and not allowing you to fall into a place of depression and no return that's not going to serve you either. And I think that this was just beautifully depicted in this episode. And then we see Nova doing what she can to help get the word out, to continue to spread and have her activism. We get 2-Bit for a second, which he pops up here and there. So great to be able to see different parts of her previous life still manifest now, because now she's in this new relationship, she's in this new house, she has gone through the trials and tribulations of like kind of turning on her family and making bad decisions. So whenever I see 2-Bit, I think about just a little bits of Nova that were really great. And even though she has gotten better, she's evolved and atoned for some of the things that have happened, there's still some of the really great grounded parts of her that remain, and I'm really excited about that. And then we also see Micah, who is decided to go to Minneapolis and to protest the killing of George Floyd. And this is definitely one of the things that is weighing very heavily on Charley right now. She's worried about Micah, and Micah is stepping full force into his activism, into really letting his voice be heard and attempting to fight for himself and the people who look like him. And it's really, really beautiful to see. But I think that Charley's character gives such a beautiful insight into what it's like for the parents of these people who are putting their lives on the line to make a stand, to fight for us, and to really evoke change. There's like such a high cost, right? Such a high cost for activism, for fighting oppression, for trying to make change. And I definitely think that that was one of the things that the creators were going for with this season, is to really be able to show the nuances and the depth of what all goes into the things that we're seeing manifest and grateful for, right? Like, we're grateful for the change makers, we're grateful for the protesters, we're grateful for the activists, but there's a toll that it takes on them as a person, on their familial relationships, and in their lives. I'm really kind of torn when it comes to Blue. Ralph Angel and Darla have gone full force in being very transparent and honest in their communications to him about what's going on, whether it's the murder of George Floyd or Black Lives Matter, or what it is for his existence as a young black boy in America. I'm on the fence because it almost just feels like we're robbing him of his innocence, and all black men go through this at some point, but it's just so heart-wrenching to see on screen. We get a part in the episode where they're making signs to go for Nova's protest that she's planning in downtown St. Joe, and they have a further conversation with Blue about George Floyd calling out for his mother while he was passing away during this incident. And it just breaks my heart because you can just see in Blue's face the peel back layers of like bliss and joy to the like fearful truth. And it's so unveiling America, and specifically black people's place in America, or how others see us in America, to our young children, and kind of stripping them of small slithers of hope and joy. It really, really hurts to watch. But it is also a very real fact of life for us. And then this gets manifested when they actually decide to still protest. So Nova's actual protest gets shut down because they don't get the permits. So Blue, Ralph Angel, and Darla decide to protest on the side of the road and just use their signs and say Black Lives Matter and chant and all of that. And of course, the police roll up and want to start some mess. And this is Blue's very first experience with racism and with what potentially could happen to him when he encounters a cop. And Ralph Angel handles it as best that he can, but we can see that this definitely shatters him because Blue was only 10. And now he's had this experience, and it probably won't be his last because we live in America and we're black. That's ridiculous. I thought it was interesting the route that they took when having Nova interact with Calvin's daughter, and specifically the conversation that they're having around allyship. She is struggling very hard with white people's place in America and within the systems of oppression that have been created, and she feels very guilty and shameful, even though she isn't a person who perpetuates these things. This is refreshing to see because majority of the people that we see when it comes to allyship don't necessarily register all that it takes to truly be an ally. And like Nova said in the previous episode, black people have a collective shame when a black person or a group of black people do something specifically within society, and that it doesn't work the same way with white people, especially when white people or white cops kill black people. And you can just see the wheels turning for Calvin's daughter, and her actually adopting that little bit of shame, and her adopting that feeling of like, I really just want it to be different. And I thought that this was really cool, a cool part of the conversation to include in the story, because we don't get to see this that often. Like, we see tons and tons and tons of performative allyship, but we don't get to see the full conversation of what real allyship looks like. And by the end of the episode, Nova reconfirms for this young lady what it looks like to actually be an ally, and it's clear as day. And I think that this is beautiful because I know last year we had the whole conversation around what can people do, and I know myself as well as other black people were like, stop asking me what can you do something. Like, it's not my job to educate you on racism because I did not create this, you did, or white people did. So go and educate yourself and go and figure it out and try your best to do better. And I think that having this part, to make a long story short, having this part in the story helps give potential allies tangible things that they can do without the token black friend being the one to tell you, like, oh, this is what you need to do to help me. If that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense to y'all in the comment section down below. And I also think that this is important to note because if you do not have allies in your immediate circle, and I'm grateful to have a few, like I have a few amazing people who are definitely allies and who definitely are anti-racist, which to me that's what true allyship is. You can't just not have an opinion or say I'm not racist. If you're not anti-racist, then you're not an ally. And I'm lucky to have a few of those people in my circle, but if you're not lucky enough to have that, then I think that this is good, so that you can see that it is possible and there are people who are out here and actually trying to align with true allyship and not performative allyships. And towards the end of the episode, we start to see each of our main characters take a trip down memory lane, and we get to really see how they've grown, how they've changed, and I believe that this is a setup to spring us forward in the rest of the story for the rest of this season. And we're going to see not only how George Floyd's death, as well as the subsequent uprising, has truly impacted and helped propel them forward in their growth as characters, but also the pandemic being mixed in with that, and then there are regular life things that are happening. So I am definitely looking forward to episode 8. And now it's your turn. Tell me what you thought about last night's episode in the comment section down below. If you're new here, you should join the tribe by hitting subscribe. I'm Erica Vane, and I cover the hottest television shows and films out, as well as I bring you entertainment news each week. Be sure to like this video and share it on your social media and tag me, and I will definitely repost you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.